carries out a dangerous diplomatic mission to Sarajevo.
This is Daybreak Sunday on CNN Weekend with Ralph Wenge at CNN Center in Atlanta.
Good morning. One day after leaders of the European community announced the backing of UN-sponsored military action in Bosnia-Herzegovina, French President François Mitterrand makes an in-person plea for peace. Mr. Mitterrand arrived at Sarajevo's besieged airport today. It has been the site of some of the worst fighting between ethnic factions over the past 3 months. The war over independence in the former Yugoslav Republic has torn the capital city apart. The sounds of heavy artillery fire reverberated throughout the streets of Sarajevo earlier despite UN demands for peace. Tomorrow, the Security Council is expected to take up the issue of military action in Bosnia. Meanwhile, in Belgrade, a crowd of more than 20,000 is demanding the resignation of Serbian President Slobodan Milosevic. They blame Mr. Milosevic for the bloodshed in Bosnia. Police just may have solved the mysterious disappearance of Exxon executive Sidney Riso. Press conference is scheduled for later this morning. It's expected that officials will announce positive identification of Riso's body. Jim Hill takes a look at the 2-month-old kidnapping case.
Found his body in a remote part of New Jersey. In a brief statement, the FBI said the remains of a corpse believed to be that of Sidney J. Riso, the president of Exxon International, were discovered by law enforcement officials in the Pine Barrens of southern New Jersey. The 57-year-old executive was reported missing April 29th. His empty car was found at the foot of his driveway just after he left for work from New Jersey's Morris Township. June 19th, the FBI arrested Arthur Seal, a former Exxon security guard, and his wife Irene, and charged them with Riso's kidnap. Now, a nun in Riso's boyhood hometown of New Orleans is saying Riso's sister contacted her and revealed it was Irene Seal who told authorities about the body.
She called us to tell us that the lady who had been in the kidnapping had confessed that he had died in the early part of May and that he had died of natural causes.
And that they had buried him?
They had buried him in a park. They knew he did not have a lot of medication, that his medication, if they had not gotten him more, it would not have held out this long.
Riso's wife made several televised appeals for her husband's safe return, saying he suffered from a heart ailment and needed periodic medication. Authorities say even a natural death in the hands of kidnappers could constitute murder. Lawmen arrested the Seals after tracing numerous telephone demands for ransom, and they say Arthur Seal had apparently made plans to flee to Pakistan. The Seals remain jailed without bail, indicted by a federal grand jury on 6 counts of conspiracy, kidnap, and extortion. It remains for the FBI to confirm the body is Riso's, reveal the exact cause of death, and possibly add murder to the charges against the Seals. Jim Hill for CNN, New York.
And we had this just in this morning. A strong earthquake has hit the Los Angeles area just a short time ago. We have no idea yet just how strong, what kind of a reading on the Richter scale. Again, a strong earthquake hitting the Los Angeles area this morning. We are endeavoring to find out more about it. As soon as we do learn, we, of course, will report it to you. 2 tornadoes roared through the town of Fritch, Texas last night, leaving at least 7 people hurt. Police say nearly 300 homes were damaged or destroyed in Fritch, Texas, northeast of Amarillo. Some residents spent the night at a high school, which was converted to a shelter. One restaurant in the town was destroyed just minutes before the estimated 30 people inside were evacuated. Telephone and power outages are still reported. All 97 of the Air Force's B-1B bombers have been grounded, while the Pentagon and General Electric investigate an engine malfunction in one of the planes. Preliminary results of the probe are expected tomorrow. The problem occurred earlier this month. The plane returned safely to an Air Force base in Texas. Since coming into service in 1986, the B-1B fleet has been dogged by technical problems, including fuel leaks and engine problems, and 3 of them have crashed. Just about 5 minutes past the hour right now. Still ahead, a new era for Los Angeles. After 14 years, Daryl Gates is out as police chief. And an Olympic medal is out of the question for one of the 2 decathlon competitors being hyped by the running shoe company. And at 26 after the hour, it wasn't a ring around the collar, but a ring around the finger at a Memphis laundromat. Details coming up.
That sign means a lot to me in my car. It means a complete 14-point service which protects my new car warranty. It means the finest products like the world-class protection of Pennzoil. My car's taken care of by trained professionals. It's ready in minutes, and the work's guaranteed. If your car means a lot to you, follow this sign.
At Jiffy Lube, we do your car a great service.
Shoot down roaches with a common spray. And more can pop up later. That's because it can't reach the hundreds behind your walls. But Combat Roach Killing Disc can. Its poison is carried by roaches back to their nest, where others share it and die. Combat. There's no better weapon against roaches.
Recently, the International Motorsports Association held a decathlon of performance and control. Over 22 days, 7 cars competed in 10 events to determine which was best overall. It wasn't Acura, or Volvo, nor Mercedes, or Mazda, nor Lexus, or BMW, but the Audi 100 V6, the IMSA Decathlon Gold Medal winner.
For a copy of the complete IMSA Decathlon results, call 1-800-4AUDI.
The Maytag refrigerator. It's not only durable, it's adjustable, so that whatever the future holds, your Maytag will too. Buy one now and get the best warranty in the business.
Here goes my future.
On CNN Today, discover a land explored by legends. The Daniel Boone National Forest on Travel Guide. Then on the menu, it says healthy on the label, but what does healthy really mean? All today on CNN.
All right, once again, we're going to bring you up to date on the story just in a couple of minutes ago. What is described as a strong earthquake has hit the Los Angeles area early this morning. Again, we still have no idea how strong, no reading yet on the Richter scale. At least we haven't received one. We are endeavoring to get the latest information for you. As soon as we do, we will, of course, pass it on to you. Mourners filled a New York funeral home yesterday to pay their last respects to John Gotti Sr., the father of convicted mob boss John Gotti. The senior Gotti, who was 85, died 2 days after his son was sentenced to life in prison for murder and racketeering. FBI agents and local police used telephoto lenses and binoculars to document who was on hand for the wake. It isn't known yet if the younger Gotti will get out of prison for the funeral, which is scheduled for tomorrow. The police chief of Los Angeles, Daryl Gates, has ended his controversial 14-year reign as that city's top cop. His official final day was yesterday. Former Philadelphia Police Chief Willie Williams takes over. While the two men have vastly different approaches to running a police department, they appeared friendly toward each other yesterday. Gates later said the transition would likely have a positive effect on the L.A. Police Department, while Williams said he wanted to earn the respect of the officers he's going to lead.
I really believe that this is going to be a time when perhaps the pressure is going to be relieved just a little bit. Those who throw rocks at the police department, most of them were aimed at me, and I think that this will relieve the pressure to a degree.
The test of Willie Williams really is if I'm a decent leader, if I worry about my people, if I support them and back them, then I'll earn the loyalty. You don't walk in with loyalty. You have to earn it, just as the chief has to earn it, the captains have to earn it, the sergeants have to earn it. So I think that's the strength of the organization.
Williams is Los Angeles' first black police chief. The U.S. Supreme Court is expected to rule tomorrow on a Pennsylvania case that could change the future of legalized abortion. The ruling could overturn Roe versus Wade and allow severe restrictions on abortion. Opponents are continuing their protest campaign. More than 500 people tried to block the doors of a clinic in Milwaukee yesterday. Police officers were waiting. 77 people were arrested on disorderly conduct charges, including 15 children. Abortion rights supporters say 16 women were able to keep their appointments at the clinic. Democrats say their party platform offers a revolution for 1992. The party platform committee held its last meeting in Washington yesterday. The final document stamped with the imprint of Bill Clinton, the expected Democratic presidential nominee. However, it suggests a changed Democratic Party, a group disenchanted with the central government. The completed platform includes traditional Democratic planks in economic rules, abortion rights, gay rights, civil rights, and artistic freedom. But it also has planks on government reform, the use of military force, and citizen obligations to society and government. Democratic Party Chairman Ron Brown says the platform can benefit all Americans.
A platform, by definition, is a consensus document. I don't expect every Democrat in America, I don't expect every independent, I don't expect every Republican to accept and support every single item in the platform of our party. But I do believe that when people look at it as a whole and complete document, that they think it does speak to the future, and it does speak to economic growth, and it does speak to the need for unity in America, and I think it meets all of those goals.
The Democratic Platform Committee rejected 4 economic proposals offered by Paul Tsongas, including a gasoline tax increase, a delay in a middle-income tax cut, a federal spending freeze, and a capital gains tax cut. However, Tsongas's proposals will likely be debated at the National Convention in New York next month. Once again, updating a story we have received just moments ago, an earthquake described as very strong hitting the Los Angeles area this morning. On the phone with us right now, a resident of Los Angeles, Jennifer Haney. Ms. Haney, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Can you describe the feeling?
Yes, it was, at first it's kind of hard to describe. It was kind of like a rolling motion or something, and at first I thought it was just someone, or I shouldn't say someone, but something like shaking the bed or something, maybe a pet or something. And all of a sudden I realized it was a quake, and I said, well, it's no big deal. I said, we have these all the time. They eventually stop. But this one lasted, I'd say, at least a minute. I guess that doesn't seem like very long to someone, but believe me, when you live through the earthquakes for...
Did you have any damage?
Not yet that I have been able to survey, but it's 5:11 in the morning here, and I really have not been able to look at the outside property. The sun's still not up or anything yet. But so far, the structural damage, I really have not been able to find any, but I don't think we were the epicenter. I'm not sure, to be honest, though.
I know it's dark. I know it's dark out there. Have you been able to determine outside if any other buildings have been damaged?
No, sir, I have not.
Okay.
I truthfully have not looked around yet outside because I've been inside trying to check things out first.
All right, Jennifer Haney.
We lost our phone service temporarily, and we've had 2 really strong aftershocks so far.
All right, there have been 2 aftershocks. All right, Jennifer Haney.
Aftershocks.
Thank you very much. Now joining us on the phone, Rich Brown of a CNN affiliate in Los Angeles. Rich, can you amplify on what we just heard from Ms. Haney?
Ralph, I did not hear the description that the other person provided you in detail. This is what I felt. This was a significant seismic event here in Los Angeles. It lasted about 30 seconds. It was a combination of rolling and punching movements. Usually you get an earthquake that is either a roller or a puncher on you. This was both, where I am in the Marina del Rey area of Los Angeles, right along the coastline. It lasted about 30 seconds. I was in my bed. It woke me up clearly from a deep sleep. The bed was rolling back and forth, and several times within that, there were punches, there were jolts where you could feel the earth jumping. We got out of bed immediately and came outside. The power went off momentarily. The phone line was out momentarily. The cable TV was out momentarily. Came outside. I've got about a 5-foot hanging plant in my living room that was swinging back and forth violently. No damage that I can see in my home. All of the neighbors are up. I doubt that there is damage in my area here, but it felt very, very strong. And I've been in California for 5 years. This one was strong.
I take it the way you describe this earthquake, it's the type of quake that is very unusual there. Is that right?
It does not necessarily mean that this is unusual in this area. What it does mean is that some of them are rolling motions. Some of them are shock punches. This could be quite a typical seismic event out here for some people, but you generally do not get both of those motions at the same time here in the Los Angeles area. it generally means that you're kind of close to the epicenter if you're going to take a guess. That is what it would mean to me.
Rick, the woman we talked to just before you said she had felt several long aftershocks. Have you experienced that as well?
No, Ralph. I have not felt any aftershocks at all since the first seismic event. Again, it lasted 30 seconds out here, and then we have not felt anything in the Marina Del Rey area of Los Angeles. No other seismic event since the first motion.
Rick, you say you've lived there for a while. You're used to these. Can you give us an idea what you think perhaps the Richter reading might have been on this, perhaps more than 6?
I was in northern San Diego County for the Whittier Narrows earthquake in October of 1987. And this was a much stronger motion that I felt here in Los Angeles. If I was in Las Vegas and had to put down some money on this, I would be willing to say it's got to be in the 5 range, maybe up closer to a 6. That's all projection at this point, Ralph, but that is my feeling of it right now.
All right. Rick Brown, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Rick Brown of KCAL-TV in Los Angeles. Again, we will continue to follow this. There still is no official Richter reading. We are awaiting that, and we are awaiting more word on that earthquake that hit Los Angeles this morning. Any possible injuries, any major damage we still don't know of yet, but we'll keep watching it, and we'll keep reporting to you. We'll continue with Daybreak right after this.
In pilot jargon, it's called a walk-around. You see them do it before every takeoff of every plane. What you don't see are their qualifications to fly those planes. It takes them years and thousands of hours of experience, and every year they're schooled and tested. No exceptions. Because when you're a United pilot, you hold a lot more in your hands than just the controls. Come fly the airline that's uniting the world. Come fly the friendly skies. Announcing an all-new collection, Great Films of the Bible. They're here now in an incomparable home video collection from Time Life Video.
Who is on the Lord's side? Let him come to me.
These are great films of the Bible. As they honor the spirit of the Bible, they create a testament to the art of filmmaking. These films are acknowledged masterworks, each one worthy of a place in your family's personal collection. Beginning with a masterpiece, Ben-Hur. Yours for just $9.99, $20 off the regular price.
The day Rome falls, there will be a shout of freedom such as the world has never heard before.
Order now, and if you use your credit card, you'll receive an original Ben-Hur script, a beautifully bound collector's item, and it's yours absolutely free. Other videos include the 10 Commandments, the greatest story ever told, the robe, and more. And now you can get Ben-Hur for just $9.99 during this special offer. That's $20 off. And remember, with your credit card, you'll receive an original Ben-Hur script, a beautifully bound collector's item, free. Other videos will arrive about every 6 weeks at $29.99. Keep only the ones you wish to, cancel anytime. The Great Films of the Bible, a magnificent collection that brings the pages of the Bible to life. Call now and get Ben-Hur for just $9.99.
Use your credit card to get Ben-Hur for $9.99, $20 off. You'll also receive a beautifully bound copy of the original script free. Other videos follow, one about every month at the regular price. Keep only the ones you want. Call now, 1-800-634-7400.
We continue to follow the story of the earthquake that hit Los Angeles this morning. According to reports we're getting on the wires right now, they say that power lines exploded and arced in flames in areas throughout the city, sending some areas into darkness. We've been talking with several people about what has been described as a very strong earthquake. So far, we have no information as to the Richter reading on this earthquake. We're waiting that. Right now, we want to talk to Marge DeVito of KCAL-TV in Los Angeles, an affiliate of CNN. Marge, what can you add?
Well, I live in the foothill area of La Crescenta in California, which is north of the beach area where Rick Brown lives. And it was a very strong rolling motion. It was a very long one. It really felt weird, and it wasn't any jolting. We did get the rolling motion, and within about 2 minutes after the original one, friends of mine are up on a mountaintop with field day for the MRA, and they felt an aftershock. I happened to be on the phone with them. So they're up there, and it isn't that far away from me, but they felt an aftershock of it, too.
Any damage at your place?
No, not at this point, just a few shaky nerves. The pool of water was really rolling back and forth, and I have a couple lamps that were swinging, but nothing as far as main structural damage that I can see or broken windows. We didn't even lose any power up here at the time.
I know it must be frustrating to have an earthquake anytime, but especially in the middle of the night when it's still dark, you can't really tell what's going on outside. Have you been able to ascertain whether there is any damage to other places or to roads or power lines?
Not in this area that I know of. I live close to the 210 freeway, and I can still hear traffic, some of it running on the freeway.
All right, Marge DeVito, CNN affiliate KCAL-TV in Los Angeles. In Morrow Park, California, is Keith Millhouse, who also apparently felt the effects of this morning's earthquake. Keith, can you hear me?
Hi, sure can. Good morning.
Good morning. Tell us what you felt and your description of it.
Well, it happened about 4:58 in the morning, and there was initially a very large jolt. We waited to see if it would stop. I've lived in California all my life and lived through the 1971 quake, so I'm kind of a veteran of these, for better or worse. When it didn't stop, I knew we had a substantial quake, which is surprising because our city of Moore Park is located about 50 miles from downtown Los Angeles, which is where I work, and frankly, I was very glad not to be in a high-rise downtown, although I don't know where this was centered, because it was pretty strong. And we usually don't get the strong ones felt out in this area. But we grabbed the kids, and then it stopped, and I noticed the chandelier swinging about a foot in each direction, which was kind of eerie and brought back a lot of memories.
Keith, how long did it last?
It lasted about 30 seconds or so. I'd say 30 to 45 seconds. And surprisingly, we haven't felt any aftershocks. I remember after the 1971 quake, which seemed to be more violent than this one. Of course, at that time I was in Canoga Park, which was located, I'd say 10 or 15 miles from the fault, or in the actual epicenter there. But this one was more of a rolling motion, and like I said, surprisingly, there have been no aftershocks out here, which leads me to believe we're not very close to the epicenter.
All right, Keith Millhouse of Moore Park, California, thank you. He says that's about 50 miles from downtown Los Angeles. In Woodland Hills, California, Craig McCullough joins us now on the phone. Craig, how much of this did you feel?
Well, I felt a heck of a lot, and it just happened, as you probably know, just after 5 a.m. Pacific, and it shook me fairly well.
We apparently are having some telephone problems there, which is certainly not surprising. A strong earthquake hitting Los Angeles this morning. We're trying to find out as much information, talking to the people out there. We shall continue to do that. Still, we don't have a Richter reading on this earthquake. As soon as we find out more on that, of course, we'll report it. We'll have more of Daybreak right after this.
No matter how many little surprises life throws your way, there's one thing you can count on: the comfort of a TempStar heating and cooling system. Find out how you can rely on TempStar. Just pick up the phone and call. We'll send you a free brochure that answers all your questions about heating and cooling. It can help you make the decision that's right for your home. Find out about comfort you can count on. Rely on the star. TempStar.
How did $1 become 5? By squirreling it away in Dreyfus' Third Century, the socially conscious fund with a predator's instinct for profits. Consider, if 20 years ago you started putting $200 each month into Third Century, you would have over $250,000 today. Look at these average annual returns. 1, 5, 10 years, your $48,000 invested grew into over $250,000. 1 became 5. What a nest egg. A fund for you and your family and a better America, too. Third Century invests only in companies with a record protecting the environment, the consumer, worker health, and safety. Call 1-800-551-9700 for information, a prospectus, and no sales charge, a big plus. Plan ahead. Call 1-800-551-9700 and say, my future's in Third Century.
It's a risky economic challenge. Every dollar you spend
Every dollar you invest changes the odds of hitting the jackpot. John Holloman examines how people play the great American money game. Tonight at 9:30 Eastern on CNN.
This is CNN Breaking News.
And just a moment ago, we were endeavoring to talk to a gentleman from Woodland Hills, California, to tell us about his feelings about that earthquake that hit about 5 o'clock this morning, Pacific time. His name is Craig McCullough. Apparently, we've got the phone problems worked out. Craig, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can, loud and clear.
Describe what you felt, please.
Well, as I was saying, we were sleeping. I was sleeping. It was about 5 a.m. Pacific, and the beds just started swaying, really swaying by about 3 or 4 feet, it felt. I look outside in a nearby pool. The water was just gushing out of it like some just fat giant took a belly flop in it. And everything just really, really started to shake and move.
How long did it last?
Well, it seems to last forever and ever when you're in it, but I guess it lasted a good at least 30 seconds. I felt it lasted a minute, enough to wake me up and let me go across the room to underneath the table and stay there for about 15 seconds. So I felt it for about a minute.
Do you have trouble moving around?
I didn't really notice. I just saw a table and I just said, get my butt over there, and I just got over there and I just stayed under the table and prayed.
Have there been any aftershocks? We keep getting conflicting reports on this.
There was, apparently the radio stations here do say, the ones that are still in the air and that we can pick up, do say there was an aftershock, and there was a slight rumor just afterwards. I got up and I stood up and there was just a little shake. So it does feel like there was one very, very small aftershock. It was maybe felt southward of we are, or maybe up towards San Francisco.
Now, you said you were able to notice the water in your swimming pool splashing around out there and gushing. Could you see whether there had been any damage, like cracked concrete or damage to the foundation of your home?
Well, I'm staying in a hotel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I look outside. There doesn't appear to be any damage, just imagine the restaurant across the way. Imagine some of the bar glasses aren't up on the bar anymore. And there's no cracks out near the swimming pool. The cars have moved a few inches, but they haven't collided with one another or exploded or anything. There's no major damage that I can see right here in the Woodland Hills, Sherman Oaks area of LA County. But yet again, there might be some damage down in South Central and in the lesser, well-built structures.
All right, Craig McCullough of Woodland Hills, California, describing his experience in this morning's earthquake. Again, we still have no Richter reading. We're going to go to John St. John now to get his reaction to this. He's in San Diego, California, and he's with radio station KSBO. John?
Yes, Ralph. Interestingly enough, this morning, several minutes before we felt the first earthquake, my wife out in Ramona reports that my 2 Labradors were a little bit antsy and active this morning. As well, we have felt at least 3 aftershocks here in the San Diego area so far, the last of which hit not but maybe 15 to 20 minutes ago. The earthquake here felt more like a very heavy vibration this morning that lasted for at least, we're saying, 30 seconds. It seemed to be a non-stop heavy vibration that, we weren't quite sure when it was going to end. Very heavy this morning down in San Diego. We're guessing that since aftershocks were not felt necessarily by everyone in the LA area, that the epicenter could possibly be south of Los Angeles.
John, everybody we have talked to this morning, and I guess I've talked to maybe 6 or 7 people, describe the earthquake as being a bit unusual in that it is a combination of rolling and punching. Is that the way you felt it?
No, actually just a very strong vibration in this area. I'm actually just northeast of the San Diego area this morning, and just a very heavy vibration.
Now, I take it you have been through these before. How would you classify this earthquake? Since we don't have a Richter reading, we can't get that kind of a reading yet on it, but would you describe it as worse than others that you felt?
I'll tell you, we had a couple of months ago, and I just have to say that this was a very long earthquake in this area. The past few that I've experienced seem to have lasted possibly 6 to 10 seconds tops. This one was at least 30 seconds. It just seemed to be nonstop.
All right. John St. John of KSBO Radio in San Diego, thank you. Thank you to all of the people out there who have talk with us this morning. Again, we continue to follow the story of the earthquake in Southern California. Some people saying they felt it as far away as Las Vegas. We'll continue to find out more about this earthquake, learn about any possible damage, and give you the latest reports. We'll be right back.
Are you one of those people who had a bad experience last time you went car shopping? Well, it does happen, but never at the Auto Plaza in Winterset. Why? Because of our exclusive discount pricing system. We make it easy for you to buy cars, trucks, or vans. Discount pricing means you'll find the lowest price available anywhere on every GM and Chrysler Plymouth on our lot. There's just one price on every car, the lowest. So no hassles, no embarrassment, no nothing but low prices every day. So drive a little and save a lot at the Auto Plaza in Winterset. Nobody in Des Moines can touch our prices.
When you want great videos, it's time to go to Movies to Go, your 10,000 tape superstore. That's 10,000 movies, videos, and Nintendo games. Open 10 a.m. to midnight, 7 days a week. There's always something fun to watch at Movies to Go. Free lifetime memberships, 3 evening rentals, more copies of new releases. Movies to Go is 10,000 times the fun. With 5 video superstores in Des Moines, there's one near you.
This is CNN.
Good morning, I'm Ralph Wenge. An earthquake has shaken Los Angeles and other parts of Southern California. It occurred just a short time ago, just before 5 a.m. Pacific time. Witnesses say it lasted about 30 seconds, and a woman who was interviewed with us just a while ago says she felt at least 2 aftershocks. A reporter for CNN affiliate KCAL-TV says she felt a jolt first and then a series of rolling motions. Some people as far away as Las Vegas and apparently even as far away as Phoenix who called CNN say they also felt the quake. And a nurse in San Diego says she was awakened by the quake. It still isn't clear where the quake was centered, and it isn't clear yet what it measured on the Richter scale. We're still awaiting information on those statistics. The Associated Press reports that the quake knocked some Los Angeles radio stations off the air, set off alarms, and knocked people out of beds. Fire trucks are also said to be moving throughout the city, and there also apparently are some power outages. In West Hollywood, Barry Stitch joins us on the phone now. Barry, can you tell us more?
Sure. I was sound asleep, and it was definitely a rolling motion, and it got worse as it went on. It was definitely the longest one I've ever felt living out here in 8 years. And my mother called from Las Vegas. I thought I must have been near the epicenter, and she said she felt it pretty bad, and things were rolling there too. And she got in the doorways, and some power went out around Las Vegas.
Has there been any damage that you have been able to find out about?
No, about 100 car alarms went off outside, and the entire neighborhood went to the streets. So it woke everyone up, but no damage so far that I've heard of.
Now, apparently it was bad enough that a number of radio stations were knocked off the air. Have you been able to get any kind of communication at all?
No, CNN was my first try, and I've been with you since.
All right. You have not been outdoors since this happened, I take it?
No, just when it did happen, I ran outside.
And what did you see?
Every other neighbor I've ever seen, and all the dogs, and people turning off their car alarms.
Okay, but you didn't see any cracked pavements or anything like that?
No, it was all right. Everything seemed to be okay. We waited for an aftershock, and I didn't feel the couple that lady felt, but right after she had mentioned that, I felt another aftershock other than hers.
All right. Barry Stitch in West Hollywood, thank you very much. We're going to go back to San Diego now. Jim Berry is joining us on the phone. Jim, what can you tell us?
Ralph, I've been here since 1978, and I've experienced probably a dozen of them. But this was the most different. This was definitely a vibrating. It's like being at the end of a Lindbergh Field and a Stage 2 airplane is just warming up to go on its takeoff roll. It was vibrating, and it was the longest time. I'm in the house, and the things are shaking. I said, okay, come on, go through it. And it seemed like an eternity. It was probably between 30 and 45 seconds. But it really, really seemed like a minute or two because it was just shaking. Before, I've been in punches and I've been in rolls, and they go right by you. It's like they come from behind you, go right by you. But this is vibrate. I'm sitting here, I'm watching CNN. I had just finished watching Roland Evans. I had a cup of coffee. I'm saying, oh, is this coffee going to... It's just like being at the end of a runway and a stage 2, not a stage 3 aircraft, a stage 2 warming up, and it's really different. I've never experienced this type of an earthquake. And I don't know if the epicenter, listening to the people in Orange County and LA County and here, I don't know where that epicenter is, because it was strong here in San Diego. And then I'm hearing on your station that it's in Vegas too. Then we had an aftershock, Ralph. Maybe 5 minutes later, had an aftershock for about 10 seconds.
How many aftershocks, Jim?
I've only felt one.
Have you been able to, I know it's still dark out, have you been able to get outside at all?
Okay, I do have a cement patio, and its daylight is breaking now, Ralph, and, you know, I don't see no damage. I've gone through the house looking at the ceiling, and I haven't seen no damage. Sometimes I've seen, I'll see like paint or something fall down. I have a rough ceiling, but I haven't noticed any of that, and I'll tell you what, this is the worst since I've been here in '78.
All right, Jim Berry in San Diego. As I mentioned just a moment ago, we have been getting reports from as far away as Phoenix, Arizona, and also Las Vegas from people who have felt the quake. And right now, we're going to talk with Dan Mulligan, who is in Las Vegas. Dan? Dan Mulligan, can you hear me? Dan Mulligan. Okay, apparently we have lost the phone line there. Again, that's not surprising. We don't know the extent of the damage in Southern California. We don't know of any damage elsewhere in Phoenix or Las Vegas. But we do know that a strong earthquake has hit Southern California. We don't know the epicenter yet, and we still have no Richter reading. As soon as we get that information, we'll pass it on to you, as well as anything else we learn. We'll be right back.
If you're using a credit card to get a cash advance, you're probably getting soaked, because ordinary cards charge you interest right from day one, which is why you should use the Discover card. Just pay your full monthly balance and a small transaction fee, and we'll give you cash, interest-free, so you can avoid taking a bath. It pays to Discover.
I'm going to need some more.
Dear Thompson's, while protecting our deck, we ran out of Thompson's water seal.
And so did the local store.
Reluctantly, we finished with another brand.
How do we know it's going to work like Thompson's?
What a mistake. The Thompson side beat it up in the rain.
The other side, nothing.
Thompson's water seal has 50% more active ingredients for more waterproofing power.
Even the clerk agreed. Nothing works like Thompson.
Sincerely, Blair and Becky Jones,
Charlotte, North Carolina.
Nobody else sees the world through your eyes. Yours is a style that you just can't disguise. Your whole approach is an original one. So why get a room when you can get a Radisson?
Welcome to Radisson. 250 hotels around the world, as individual as the people who stay in them. Your point of view is distinctly your own, and so is ours.
So why get a room when you can get a Radisson?
In a complicated world, which camcorder makes it easy to play back tapes directly on your TV? Without question, Sony Handycam.
One of his movies, he said, "I don't take nothing from nobody." With Cagney, that wasn't just a line. That was a way of life.
James Cagney. How did he get so good at being bad?
I never said, you dirty rat.
Join Michael J. Fox for a look at the life and career of James Cagney, followed by his Oscar-winning performance in Yankee Doodle Dandy, Sunday, July 5th on TNT.
A rude Sunday morning awakening today for the people of Southern California and apparently some other states as well. An earthquake has shaken Los Angeles and other parts of Southern California, a quake that has been felt as far away as Phoenix and Las Vegas. We don't know how strong it is, we just know it was quite strong. And some people, according to the people that we have talked to this morning, say it was unusual. It was a different kind of a shake, a different kind of a roll, different from other quakes they have experienced. It occurred about 5 a.m. Pacific time. They say that it lasted approximately 30 seconds, depending on who you talk to, anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute. One woman said she felt at least 2 aftershocks. A reporter for CNN affiliate KCAL-TV says she felt a jolt first and then a series of rolling motions. As we said, some people as far away as Las Vegas and Phoenix also reported feeling the effects of this earthquake. Mark Peterson is in San Dimas, California. This is about 35 miles east of Los Angeles. Mark, what can you tell us?
Well, like a lot of people have said, it was first a shaker and then a roller, but I know my wife and I jumped out of bed and stood under the doorway, and as we did, we glanced out the window, and there was these bright lights that were flashing, and they were the electrical transformers out by the street, and so we know we're in for a big one there, so we were quite concerned, but we wrote it out, and no real damage around here, but our relatives out in Moreno Valley, which is 40 miles east of here towards San Bernardino, they felt an aftershock a couple minutes later, so we figure it's somewhere out in the California desert at the epicenter, but we don't know. So it was a bad one, pretty bad.
How many aftershocks?
We know of one from our relatives out in Moreno Valley, but for us, we didn't feel one, but that was enough. The major earthquake. We're glad there wasn't an aftershock for us, but there was for our relatives.
Mark, can you confirm what some of the other people we have talked to this morning have told us, that the people who have experienced other earthquakes say this one seemed a little bit different, a little bit unusual in the way it rolled?
Yeah, to me it did. Usually you have one kind of motion and that's it, but this was a combination of first a shake and a jolt, and then it rolled, and you could really watch yourself, thinking back to it, watch yourself in the house move. Yeah, it was different.
All right.
It was quite different.
All right, Mark, thank you very much. Mark Peterson is in San Dimas. That's about 35 miles east of Los Angeles. We have just learned that the Richter reading on this was 6.6. 6.6 on the Richter scale. That indeed is a strong earthquake. Art Smith is in San Diego. They felt the quake, obviously. If they felt it in Las Vegas and Phoenix, they felt it in San Diego. What can you tell us, Art?
Good morning. I'm a heavy sleeper, and it woke me up from a dead sleep. The earthquake lasted about 30 seconds. It was a combination of shakes and rolls, and very strong ones at that. I live on the 3rd floor of a 60-unit complex, and I felt the aftershocks. The original happened at 4:59. The original aftershock happened at 5:01, 5 seconds, and the next one happened at 5:14, about 2 seconds.
Any damage?
No, none whatsoever. I've looked around, and everything's intact. No cracks in the ceiling, nothing.
Has there been any, I hate to use the word panic, but have you seen people running in the streets or anything like that?
Well, I did hear after the initial earthquake, I heard a few condo complex doors slam shut, so people went back in the house evidently. I didn't even get out of bed. I just wrote it out.
All right. Art Smith in San Diego. We have covered a lot of area in Southern California and in Las Vegas as well, talking about this and talking with people who experienced it. We have now learned, number one, that the Richter reading was 6.6 for this earthquake that hit Southern California, and that the epicenter was apparently between Joshua Tree and San Bernardino in California. Steve Koch joins us now to talk more about what kind of weather they're experiencing out there that might have an effect on their cleanup operations, indeed, if there was any damage. Steve?
Ralph, thank you. Having been raised in Southern California, I'm quite familiar myself with earthquakes, having gone through a number of them, including the Sylmar earthquake in 1971, which registered 6.1. And interesting enough, I've been tracking the times of these earthquakes that have been taking place since 1971 up to the current time. Most of them have occurred in the early morning hours. I remember in 1971, it was 6:01. in the morning when that earthquake struck. This one apparently striking at 4:58 a.m. And most of them, even the ones from a couple of years ago in the early morning hours. We have what is known as the Pacific Plate. The Earth as itself has a mantle, but the Earth cracks because of the molten lava and just the hotness of the Earth. It's the core center of the Earth. So there's a variety of plates. The Pacific Plate here encompasses this area here and a part of Southern California. It runs through Southern California here. Now, another plate here, the big North American Plate, encompasses a good deal of the rest of California and the rest of the United States. The North American Plate is drifting towards the north, where the North American Plate, the Pacific Plate moving north, the North American Plate moving southward. As they rub together, they get hung up. And every once in a while, it moves loose, it moves free, and thus causing earthquakes along the San Andreas Fault or a number of faults that are found in Southern California. So once again, we do have the clash of the plates, the Pacific Plate and the North American Plate. And of course, we'll keep you updated. Now, Joshua Tree, San Bernardino, where they're saying now the epicenter is, that is in extreme eastern areas of California, in the desert areas of San Bernardino area. So we'll keep you updated. Back to you, Rob, for more.
All right, Steve, thank you very much, and we'll continue our coverage right after this.
My name is Virginia Chilcote. I survived cancer.
Chester Jermakowitz. It's good to be alive.
Alive and well. Harlan Martin.
They're all patients of ours, gathered to celebrate life, at least 5 years of surviving cancer. Good years.
Sam Allspaw.
Call Cancer Treatment Centers of America, 1-800-227-3300. 5 years from now, you could be celebrating too.
At 84 Lumber, we still believe in the American dream. So we've made that dream an affordable reality. 84 affordable homes across America. The most complete home building package on the market. Priced from $39.9 to $69.9 with top name brands like CertainTeed Fiberglass and Quickcrete Packaged Concrete. Now is the time to build. Our team of home specialists will work with you from start to finish. Visit an 84 Lumber near you or call 1-800-359-8484.
Of all the things around your house that need batteries, there's one thing that needs a good, fresh battery most of all. See your Allstate agent for a free home fire safety brochure. And please, check the battery in your smoke detector often.
Gee, honey, great bacon.
It's not bacon.
Not bacon?
That's right. 100% soy breakfast strips with no cholesterol.
Still going. Nothing outlasts the Energizer battery. It keeps going and going.
The 92 conventions. In this historic election year, one network will bring you complete coverage as the Democratic and Republican parties convene. More insight, more news, more analysis, more live reporting, more convention information than the broadcast networks combined. For convention coverage that goes beyond gavel to gavel, there's only one network to watch: CNN.
Rather uncomfortable way to begin a Sunday morning for the people in Southern California and elsewhere in the Southwest. An earthquake rumbled through that area at about 5 o'clock this morning, Pacific time. 6.6 on the Richter scale is the reading we have received, and the epicenter was between Joshua Tree and San Bernardino, California. And that pretty much confirms what one gentleman told us a short while ago, that the epicenter appears to have been in the desert area of Southern California, and that is indeed the case. About, I guess, the closest city to that region is Palm Springs, about maybe 80 to 90 miles east of Los Angeles itself. Mary Mitchell is in Phoenix, Arizona, where the trembler was also felt this morning. Mary, what can you tell us?
Well, my husband was sitting in the chair watching the TV, and at about 5 o'clock, he said for about 10 seconds he felt like he was dizzy. And then he noticed our hanging plant in the kitchen was going around in a circle, and he went outside. He got me up, and I felt like I couldn't stand still. And he went outside, and I went out, and we looked at our basketball pole, and it was swaying back and forth. And I'm going, no way. And he says, there's an earthquake somewhere. And within seconds after that, you broke with the news of earthquake in L.A. And I'm going, I can't believe it. It woke my oldest son up out of his waterbed because his waterbed was going back and forth. And I'm going, I can't be. We're too far away. There's no way we could feel it that strong. And it was. Within seconds afterwards, it was like unbelievable.
But you say you didn't experience any kind of damage?
No damage, no. But it was just so bizarre to feel something like that from L.A. I couldn't believe it. Because I'm going, no, we can't feel it that far away. That strong.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Mary. You're what, about 330 miles from L.A.?
I really don't know. I think it's about that, yeah.
Okay. Mary Mitchell, thank you very much. That's from Phoenix. Fred Perkins is in Riverside, California, and they felt it pretty strongly there as well. Fred?
Yes. I would say approximately a little after 5 o'clock, we felt it and grabbed the baby and ran out to the backyard and experienced about, we have a pool there, probably experienced about a 6-8 inch wave, took about a quarter of the water out of our pool, then realized that we wasn't a good place to be, so we removed ourselves to the front yard, and when we got out of the front yard, we could notice against the hillside, greenish white explosions, about 3 of them. I'd say it looked like some sort of a transmission lines or something exploding in the horizon against the hillsides. And we stayed out in the yard for quite a while, and then went back in the house and then experienced another one. And I think approximately 5:40, another one hit, and it also removed the water from our pool. So that's twice. Ironically, we just filled it yesterday.
All right, Fred, I'm just getting a report now that apparently in Palm Desert there are reports of fires that have broken out. We don't know how severe or where, but that is the initial report, fires in Palm Desert, California. Fred, if you're in Riverside and the epicenter was between Joshua Tree and San Bernardino, you're not too far from there, are you?
No, actually, we're in southern Riverside County, right on the border of Riverside and San Diego.
All right, you talked about your pool area and the water sloshing about. Was there any damage there?
No, absolutely none. Just a rolling motion, and we checked the pool, and everything's fine.
All right, Fred Perkins in Riverside County, thank you, and thank you to all of you. We will continue to talk to more people in Southern California, as well as in other states there that have been, who have been feeling the effects of the earthquake. A Richter reading of 6.6 this morning. The epicenter being between Joshua Tree and San Bernardino, California, which is essentially a desert area not too far from Palm Springs. We shall continue to follow this story, and we'll be right back.
This is a Mita plain paper fax. And this is, well, it's a little curl. Whoa. This is a thermal fax. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. It's hard to erase. Oh, boy. Which one is better? Well, which one looks better to you? Let me just straighten this and make it.
Call 1-800-ABC-MITA.
When you're investing in a country, member of the EC, with political and social stability, one of the world's fastest growing economies, and a potential market of 340 million people, you may be giving it your best shot. Portugal, all in one.
You've dreamed about it for years. You've planned every detail. At last, you've made the dream come to life. You've put so much into it. Put Olympic stain on it.
It's the protection that keeps your home as beautiful as your dream. Olympic from PPG protects more homes than any other stain.
PPG salutes the American spirit.
Here's an opportunity to receive a free copy of William F. Buckley's controversial essay, In Search of Anti-Semitism.
I want to share something with you that's very important and especially enjoyable to me. It's Bill Buckley's National Review. When you get National Review, you'll find it's informative, probing, challenging, and very entertaining. It's not on many newsstands, so this may be your only chance to get a trial subscription.
For a trial subscription to National Review, call 1-800-257-1257.
An earthquake of the magnitude of 6.6 on the Richter scale. That is what greeted the residents of Southern California and other parts of the southwestern United States early this morning at about 5 o'clock Pacific time. A quake that was felt quite strongly in Las Vegas. And joining us on the phone now, Andrea Lynn. What can you tell us, Andrea?
Good morning. I live about 8 miles northwest of the Las Vegas Strip. At 5:01 this morning, in a sound sleep, it was as though somebody walked into your bedroom, stood at the bottom of the bed, and wouldn't let go, and they shook it and shook it and shook it. And I remember thinking, this is a serious earthquake, and so I was still for a moment and heard dishes rattling in the kitchen cabinets, and so then I finally jumped up, unsteady, and looked out, and I see no damage. I'm at the base of the western mountains that surround the Las Vegas Valley and trying to determine if there was any damage downtown, but don't know yet.
Was there kind of feeling that you thought you might be in danger?
Quite frankly, yes. I've lived here in Las Vegas since 1988, and during that time frame there have been 2 earthquakes originating someplace in the California area, the epicenter. During those, I would say to myself, I think this is an earthquake. It's a strange rolling feeling, but I'm not sure, so I check in with the local media or you people to see if it really was an earthquake. But this one, there was no doubt. It was someone got a hold of that bed and wouldn't stop shaking it. And I remember thinking, and I don't mean to be facetious, but I remember thinking at the time, I had better get serious about this earthquake situation, and I better find out what you're supposed to do because it was that serious. Whether you're supposed to go outside, stay inside, get in the door jam, because I thought, not having lived in California, that it wasn't something that I needed to know precisely about, but I think so now.
Have you felt any aftershocks, Andrea?
I have not at all. It lasted about, I would say, 30 seconds. It seemed like an interminable time, but and it didn't diminish. It seemed to come at that moment at 5:01 and be from 0 to strong. It lasted very strong for 30 seconds and then stopped. It didn't, there was no gradual increase and gradual decrease. It just was gangbusters and then aborted itself. It just stopped.
All right. Andrea Lynn of Las Vegas, Nevada, thank you very much. We shall continue to bring you the latest reports as we have them from Southern California and elsewhere on this earthquake with a magnitude of 6.6 on the Richter scale, an epicenter in the desert area not far from Palm Springs, California. So far, we have no reports of any injuries, no reports of serious damage, but as we continue through the morning, we shall follow the story and report it to you. I'm Ralph Wenge, and this is CNN Weekend.
Years ago, the great famous Notre Dame football coach, Knute Rockne, was asked by a newspaper reporter if he thought crossing himself helped win football games. He smiled and said, "It does only if our tackles are bigger than their tackles." It's always been people, whether it's an organization, whether it's a ball team, or whether it's a clothing store like Reichardt's. Let me introduce you to the people from Reichardt's.
This is Ray Ageniga, Richard Ageniga, Moe Ewan, Alphonse Catalino, Wal Vu, Jennifer Collins, Sue Dunnigan, Linda Peterson, John Reese, Don O'Brien, Herb Hine, Duke Reichhardt, Craig Lawning, Sue Stilo, Zoe Rawson, Fran Schrader, Ann Pfeiffer, Sheila Yoder, and Mike Jones.
We really have competent people here, and you'll be satisfied for a long time when you shop here, and I'll see to it. because I'm here. I'm Bill Reichart, and I own the store.
This summer, forget indoor tubing. There's a run on Des Moines starting July 10th. It's the Rouen Greater Des Moines Grand Prix. Accelerate, for full throttle racing action. Racing guest stars, just look at them. And dancing in the streets to 38 Special, Jefferson Starship, and the Bellamy Brothers. It's all at the Grand Prix in Des Moines, July 10th, 11th, and 12th. For just $15, get your speeding tickets today. Call 1-800-336-PRE and call now.
Well, it's like this. Minolta has this great new thing called the Smart System. And now, if there's ever a problem, our copiers actually call us. Of course, the other guys are working on the same kind of gizmo. Somebody call a cab? But now, our Minolta copiers tell us exactly what's wrong even before we get there. Oh, sure, the other guys are getting close. One pepperoni and snails. Just not close enough.
Get smart. The Minolta Smart System at M&M Sales Company.
This is CNN.
Good morning, I'm Ralph Wenge. A strong earthquake shook Southern Californians awake this morning. It struck at about 4:59 a.m. Pacific time. It registered 6.6 on the Richter scale. Now, a quake measuring 6 on the Richter scale is capable of causing severe damage. The epicenter was apparently between Joshua Tree and San Bernardino, that's just east of Los Angeles, and it is a sparsely populated desert area. Several aftershocks have been reported. CNN has been receiving calls from people who felt the shaking as far away as Phoenix and Las Vegas to the east, as far north as Bakersfield, and as far south as San Diego. The residents described it as one of the strongest quakes in recent memory, and most of the areas, they say the motion lasted at least 30 seconds. Some describe it as a vibration. Others felt rolling motion. Tall buildings in downtown Los Angeles swayed. Joining us on the phone now from the U.S. Geological Survey in Golden, Colorado, Fran Baldwin. Fran?
Hi.
What can you tell us about this quake?
About the only thing we can tell you so far is that it's in the Joshua Tree area, and it looks like its Richter scale magnitude is going to be in the high 6s. We're still working on it as fast as we can, and we don't have any damage information yet either, so maybe you guys can help us out in that respect.
Well, we're trying to do just that, Fran. We're trying to find out if there has indeed been any damage. It's capable of doing so. There seems to be a discrepancy, Fran, on the number of aftershocks this morning.
Oh, my heavens. We haven't had anywhere near time enough to work on aftershocks yet. Phones are ringing off the hook, and we're going to tell us for getting this one located. I'm sorry. I wish I could help you, but can't do that yet.
All right, the epicenter, Joshua Tree, between Joshua Tree and San Bernardino. Can you pinpoint that more accurately for us?
Not yet. Another 10 minutes and we'll have it, but I'm sorry.
All right.
I'm sorry. I wish I could do that.
Okay. Fran Baldwin of the U.S. Geological Survey. We have had reports that Joshua Tree is about 80 to 90 miles east of Los Angeles, not far from Palm Springs. In Los Angeles now, CNN's Ann McDermott joins us. Ann, what can you tell us?
Well, Ralph, as you mentioned, this quake lasted about 35 seconds, and for anyone who's lived through an earthquake, that is a very long time. And this was a long, strong rolling quake. They're saying 6.6 on the Richter scale. That's according to the folks at Caltech that monitor these things. And it was felt as far away as Las Vegas, as we've heard. And it was felt very strongly in Las Vegas, I might add. So far, we have having very few reports of any injuries or damage. What we do have is a lot of very shaken people. We have had numerous reports of people saying their pool water splashed out. And I myself, when the quake began, watched as a pool, well, the water swooped up and out, swamping the surrounding patio. It was quite a sight. Skyscrapers have swayed in the area, cars bounced on freeways, and we have had some reports of a few shattered windows, sporadic power outages, but for most it was simply a very early and somewhat shocking wake-up call. Along with the heavy rolling motion, the dawn was suddenly filled with the sound of car alarms and barking dogs, and of course people began gathering outside their homes, even though it's still just dark outside. And of course we have lots of reports of lots of people on the telephone calling each other to comfort one another. But right now, at this point, very few reports of injuries. We have had no reports of injuries, as is my understanding at this time, and very little damage so far. Again, that was a 6.6 on the Richter scale, though, centered out in the desert area, but very strong. Very strong.
And you say you've been through a number of these too. We've heard from a number of people, indeed I would have to say most of the people I talked with this morning, that said this earthquake felt different from the previous ones in the way it rolled, in the way it punched.
Well, for me it was different because it was so long and it was a sustained, strong rolling motion. Usually you're like standing there in the doorway, as you're supposed to, waiting for a jolt, something sharper. It wasn't like it this time, and my immediate instinct was that it wasn't centered right here, meaning Los Angeles, that it was further away, and that it was pretty strong.
All right. And McDermott, we'll be getting back to you later this morning. I have a feeling you're going to have a rather busy day. John Marinos is with the California Highway Patrol. John, have you had any reports of cracked highways or bridges or anything like that?
Well, at this point, we haven't had any reports of any damage, but our officers are checking the freeway overcrossings along with Caltrans, and we will be doing a complete check of the freeways down here in San Diego County.
What kind of phone reports have you been receiving from people?
Well, just a lot of just a lot of shaking and rumbling and whatnot, but no damage, like I said, at this point.
Would you expect an earthquake of this magnitude to create problems with highways and bridges?
Well, it could create problems. That's why we're out there checking to see if there has been any damage to any of the overcrossings.
Okay. John Marinas of the California Highway Patrol. We should point out here that when this happened, of course, it was the wee hours of the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning Pacific time, and of course, being at that hour, there was probably very, very little traffic. If it had happened later in the day, things could have been quite a bit different. We're going to talk with Terry. I'm sorry, I didn't get the last name. He's in Van Nuys, California. Terry Markey. Terry, what can you tell us?
I'm listening to our scanner, and it's on the main station for the fire department that all the districts call into. They're all doing surveys and checking out damages for the down power lines and such. And everything I'm getting back is reports of no damage. So evidently in the Los Angeles, San Fernando Valley area, there's really no major damage. It just, we had our power go out for about 30 seconds, and that was about the extent of it. So far it sounds like nothing really major in this area has really happened.
Terry, when it happened, would you describe it as being a little bit more frightening than other quakes you've experienced?
Well, anything at 5 o'clock in the morning that wakes you up is, kind of frightening. We have our 2 kids plus their 3 cousins down, so we were kind of running around trying to find all the kids in case we had to, get out or get under the table. But it was like a shaker, and then it rolled. And the most frightening part was that it just kept going, and it seemed like about 5 minutes, although it was really only about 1. But it was just, earthquakes are never sure anyway. So we were kind of running around like, okay, what do we do? And that was the most frightening part, was trying to round up all the kids.
All right. Carrie Markey in Van Nuys, California, thank you very much. As the morning progresses, of course, we're going from darkness into daylight, and as that happens, we'll perhaps be able to find out more about any possible damage in Southern California and elsewhere. Again, the Richter reading on that earthquake in Southern California, 6.6, and the epicenter in the desert just east of Los Angeles. We will continue our coverage right after this.
If you thought AIDS was something you'd never come in contact with, you're dead wrong.
After a hard day in the outback,
Dreams of the good life come easy. At Outback Steakhouse, we decided to bring these dreams to America. Well, most of them anyway. Outback Steakhouse. No rules, just right.
Pilot Square 4148, not seen, have you spelled or not seen? 81, clear. Unit 14, clear. U2 is the third master.
Of all the things around your house that need batteries, there's one thing that needs a good, fresh battery most of all. See your Allstate agent for a free home fire safety brochure. And please, check the battery in your smoke detector often.
Grandpa's Popular Science. Love those.
Hey, Dad, look at this.
They're still filming here.
What are you going to do with it?
The more important the photo, the more reason to trust it to Eckerd.
It's Grandpa and some kid with a mop.
It wasn't a mop. It was a fiery horse with the speed of light.
Hi-ho, Silver, away!
It looks like a mop to me.
A roller coaster ride this morning for the people of Southern California and for the people of Arizona and for the people of Nevada. It came in the form of an earthquake with a Richter reading of 6.6. It was centered, the epicenter was in an area between Joshua Tree and San Bernardino, California. It's in a sparsely populated desert area not far from Palm Springs. And we're going to go right now back to CNN's Ann McDermott in Los Angeles. And so far as we're hearing so far, it doesn't appear that there has been much serious damage.
No, that's exactly right. And we're also, despite the fact that there seems to be very minimum damage, in fact, the Los Angeles Police Department is reporting they're having difficulty finding any damage. It's our understanding the earthquake is now been set at 6.7. However, normally this would be a preliminary figure. It does take them a while to sort out these things, but we are hearing reports of 6.7, which is a rather substantial earthquake. It was centered about 15 miles northeast of Yucca Valley. That's in the desert east of Los Angeles area. It's about a 2.5 hours drive. Interestingly, this is the same area where another quake was centered back on April 22nd. That was a 6.0. And again, that one caused minimal damage, just as this one. However, it was felt over a wide area. Strong, long, rolling quake lasting about 35 seconds. And anyone who's been through earthquakes before can tell you that is a long time. Again, reports of damage, very slight. We're hearing the scattered window here, power outage here. Most of them, the power is back on, however. Lots of people are calling in to say their pool water has sloshed over, swamping their patios. Otherwise, skyscrapers swayed quite strongly during the quake. Cars on the freeway, fortunately there were very few of them because this happened at dawn here. Cars on the freeway bounced, but otherwise damage is very slight. We have not heard any reports of injuries, despite the fact that this was a rather strong quake. But anyway, that is the good news so far. Very little damage or injuries to report on.
Just one more thing briefly, and it's just a little bit after 6 o'clock there right now. Are you starting to see signs of daylight?
Yeah, it started brightening up about half an hour ago, and I saw cars on the freeway, people going about their business normally. On the street where I live, a few people did come out to gather immediately following the quake, but like a lot of people in Los Angeles, when they don't see much damage, they go on in and go back to bed.
All right. Ann McDermott in Los Angeles, thank you. We'll be back with you later this morning. In Las Vegas, they also felt a lot of rolling this morning during that earthquake. Bob Burns is there ready to tell us more. Bob?
Hello?
Yes, Bob, go ahead.
Yeah, I felt this thing before 5 o'clock. I was up at 4:30 having a cup of coffee and my front door open and looking out on the strip area. I have the full panorama view of the strip. And when this thing hit, my coffee was shaking, and I recognized the shake. It was going from south north, you know, the way, you know, the ripple like in a pond. Well, it was moving south and north. And I'm running from the doorway to my chair, you know, finding what the heck should I do, you know, leave or what? And the lights are going on. I can see the hotel and casino lights flickering off and on, and the power must have been off on the strip, and then it come back on. And about 15 after 5, I felt another shake, a real bad one. And about 10 minutes to maybe 15 minutes to 6, I felt another one. And I just sat down and I said, well, I'm going to roll with it, you know, and that's what was going on. And it was pretty bad. I don't know what's going on down there in L.A. or in that area where it's supposed to be centralized, but here, man, we had it pretty rough here.
Bob, how much time has gone by since you felt the last aftershock?
It lasted about, I'd say, no more than a minute, and it happened before 5 o'clock.
Now, how much time has gone by now since you felt the last aftershock?
At least a half an hour.
Okay, and no damage there that you...
the damage was some power lines down.
Yeah.
Telephone was out for about 45 minutes. There was no kind of communications with telephone. The lights were flickering all around the city. I got a whole panorama of the city, and even the new hotel casinos, the lights were going off and on.
All right, Bob Burns in Las Vegas, an indication of just how far away they were able to feel the jolting of this earthquake this morning with a reading of 6.6 on the Richter scale. It was also felt in Phoenix, Arizona. Jim Anderson is there. Jim?
Yes.
What can you tell us?
About 5 a.m. this morning, I was awakened by the bed shaking. I could looking towards the vertical blinds. The blinds were shaking. I looked out the back door, and the water was coming out of the pool. It had totally wet and waved the whole cool decking of the pool. Probably took about 10 to 15 minutes for the pool to settle back down. Did not feel any aftershocks after that, but it's the first time that I've ever felt any earthquake here in Phoenix, in the Phoenix area. The ironic thing is that we're going to be driving to Southern California this morning, so we've been watching, you know, trying to find out what kind of damage is going out in California. I just couldn't imagine there not being much damage with what happened here.
Well, we're continuing to find out more about that. Jim Anderson in Phoenix, thank you very much. Jim is right. The reports that have come into our bureau in Los Angeles so far this morning, and indeed, we talked to a member of the California Highway Patrol just a few moments ago. He said he had received no reports, and his highway patrol has seen no indication of any damaged or cracked highways or bridges. But again, it's just getting into the daylight area in California, and perhaps once it does get light, they'll be able to find out more and learn if there indeed has been any damage. We'll be back with more of our coverage right after this.
Excedrin PM.
This day won't go away.
My allowance.
Your vacation? Careful.
The check
bounced. I can't sleep and my head aches.
You want Excedrin PM. Strong aspirin-free headache medicine you can feel good about. Plus a gentle ingredient to help you sleep.
Mother is staying indefinitely.
Make a bad day go away with Excedrin PM. And rest assured it's aspirin-free.
Today, could the need to earn fast cash be costing Russia its youth? And in Macau, how this traditional dance is all a part of celebrating Buddha's birthday. On CNN World Report, 3 p.m. Eastern today.
Although most human beings instinctively join herds, there are those who simply don't look for safety in numbers. For this rare breed, we introduced the '93 Mazda 626 ES with a V6, an airbag, and ABS. Designed by the new Mazda, a company known for doing things differently. For drivers who feel the same way. The all-new Mazda 626.
Mazda, it just feels right.
We built the Maytag refrigerator with shelves, bins, and drawers that will adjust to meet your changing needs in years to come, and solid heavy-duty parts to last for years to come.
Yo, Mom!
We can only guess what the world will be like in years to come. But it's nice to know that whatever the future holds, your Maytag will too. Buy one now and get the best warranty in the business.
Here goes my future.
In a complicated world, which camcorder makes it easy to play back tapes directly on your TV? Without question, Sony Handycam.
A powerful wake-up call this morning for the people in Southern California. It came at 5 o'clock Pacific time, and it was in the form of an earthquake, measuring 6.6 on the Richter scale. Ann McDermott is in our Los Angeles bureau right now. Ann, what more can you tell us?
Well, it wasn't just a wake-up call for the people in the Los Angeles area. People in Phoenix, people in Las Vegas, people in San Diego, they all felt this earthquake. Again, there's a minor discrepancy. Some are reporting it as 6.6 on the Richter scale, and some are reporting it as 6.7. No matter what it is being called, it is a strong one, and it felt like a long, strong, rolling earthquake. It lasted about 30 seconds. But despite the magnitude of that quake, and that is a big one, very little in the way of damage. We are hearing very few reports, only minor things like a few windows being broken here and there, scattered power outages. And probably one reason for this is this quake was centered out in the desert east of Los Angeles, about a 2.5-mile drive away, near the community known as Yucca Valley. And the police are reporting in that area, and here, very light damage, minimal damage. They have checked freeway overpasses and bridges and dams, and so far, fortunately, they are coming up with very little in the way of damage. We did, at the time of the quake, I myself was watching out the window and saw flashes in the sky, power lines arced. There was, again, some power outages, but within a short time, a lot of people who had the power out, it came back on. One man described it as feeling that his house was a ship on a very stormy sea. For most people, though, it was a rude wake-up call. They heard lots of dogs barking, lots of car alarms going off, and then, fortunately, very little damage at this point. And now it is light out now. It has been for about half an hour, and we will be checking to see if there's more to be learned at this point.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but the epicenter of this quake is not far from Palm Springs, and yet Palm Springs is probably one of the few areas we haven't heard from this morning as far as phone calls are concerned. Will we perhaps expect some damage there?
I have on radio stations here, people have called in from the Palm Springs area, and they report it as feeling very strong. They were very scared, very shaken up. But again, these people did not report any damage, so they are aware of it, they have felt it, but these early morning callers, at any rate, did not talk about damage. And again, at this point, damage is minimal. We're just waiting to hear more.
All right. Ann McDermott in California in our LA bureau, thank you very much. We'll keep in touch with Ann throughout the morning hours. We also did get one other report from the Reuters news service saying that the quake registered 7.4 on the Richter scale. Again, that was from the Reuters news service. Other reports have it less, somewhere around 6.6 or 6.7 on the Richter scale. Little report, in fact, no report of any damage in any of the areas affected by the earthquake this morning. We shall continue our coverage right after this.
It's nothing serious. It only wakes me up a couple of times a week. It really doesn't affect me. I avoid foods that are fried or spicy. I can deal with it. I just take antacids.
If you have frequent heartburn symptoms like acid indigestion or burning in the chest, talk to your doctor. These may be signs of a serious medical problem. Your doctor has treatment plans that can help.
It's only a heartburn. I should learn to live with it. Right?
Frequent heartburn. Isn't it time you talk to your doctor?
Introducing United Airlines' renowned international service to cities throughout Latin America. Come fly the airline that's uniting the world. Come fly the friendly skies.
Blue skies or gray skies, I'll always be around. You can rely on me, I'll never let you down.
Whatever little surprises life has in store for you, one thing you can always rely on is the cool comfort of a Tempstar air conditioner.
You can rely on me.
Rely on the Star. Tempstar.
It is the ultimate in athletic achievement. Now, one show takes you behind the scenes from the first qualifying heat to the final torch run. The Games of '92, today at 11 Eastern on CNN.
Little damage is the report we're getting at this hour from that earthquake this morning in Southern California. Little damage in most of the areas that we have talked to. However, there are other people who are saying at this time that there was some damage. For example, Ron Blasick, who is a volunteer firefighter in Joshua Tree, and I should point out that Joshua Tree is almost pinpoint the epicenter of this earthquake this morning, said the roof of a bowling alley caved in and several buildings collapsed. We don't know the size of those buildings, but they did. And he said some mobile homes were shaken off their foundations, and the fire department was battling at least 5 fires there. That was in Joshua Tree. Dozens of strong aftershocks rolled through the area after the major quake. Kay Shedlock is with the U.S. Geological Survey in Golden, Colorado. Kay, we're getting differing reports on the magnitude of this quake, and I understand that the one we got from the Reuters news service a little while ago may be more accurate. 7.4, is that what you're getting?
Yes, National Earthquake Information Center is calling it 7.4 at this time. There were early reports of the smaller magnitude that have been updated as more data came in.
Still getting more aftershocks? Are any
Yes.
reports of them?
Yes, aftershocks are continuing quite frequently right now.
Are you surprised at the reports of little damage?
Well, the area around Joshua Tree is not very populated, which is why you're getting reports of little damage. Had this been closer to a more populous area, the damage reports would have been significant. We have had reports of shaking of tall buildings. We've had calls from Laughlin, Nevada, Cedar City, Utah, Las Vegas, Nevada apparently had a lot of their tall hotels had a lot of shaking. But the lack of damage is due primarily to the lack of population.
All right, Kay Shedlock with the U.S. Geological Survey in Golden, Colorado. She confirms it, 7.4 on the Richter scale from that earthquake this morning. We keep on saying Southern California. It's a lot more widespread than that. The epicenter in the desert area, which probably helped a lot of the other major areas avoid any big damage. But we do have some new tape that we have just received from Hollywood, California, to give you an idea of what it was like in the wee hours of the morning. It was
It felt like somebody took a giant wrench and adjusted the building.
And excuse me, what was your first reaction? I noticed you're outside of your building.
Get out of this loft and down underneath it. I have a loft in my place. That's underneath it is my earthquake place.
What have you been through any other California earthquakes or earthquakes?
Mm-hmm.
How did this compare?
It felt like it came from a different direction, and it was more a constant shaking instead of the last one felt like a giant snail coming into the building, just rolling by like a big roller bearing or something coming into the building. This one was different. It was a shaker.
Did you actually think maybe the building would come down, or what was going on?
I was waiting for the windows to pop, actually, because I thought it was swaying that much, as, again, being on the top floor. And this is an old brick building, so it really gives a lot. So.
Okay.
All right. First reports we've had on hand from people who have experienced that earthquake this morning. We are going to continue our coverage right after this break.
Can you believe this? Volk Vision Centers has frames that are practically indestructible. If you thought Coke bottle lenses were the only solution to your prescription, look how thin Volk Vision is making them today. Tired of bifocal lines that make you look older? Try Vogue Vision Center's invisible bifocals. Vogue Vision Center's new high-tech frames are so light, well, you'll hardly know you're wearing them. Come see what's new in sight at Vogue Vision Center's 8 convenient locations.